carefully drop it out. All right. Whew. Okay, just like that. Okay, there we go. Here. So I think with our new chain and our viscous coupling, this transfer case is going to be in pretty good shape. All right, one other thing you can do, our old bolts had a lot of Loctite on them from the factory, so we're just going to clean them off with a wire wheel. Okay, so now we've got nice clean threads when we put everything back together under there. And of course, per the factory service manual, it does call for a little bit of thread sealant as well as Loctite, so we'll go ahead and put that on as we reassemble. Alright, so this is our paper gasket that we're going to be putting on our transfer case, and I'm going to use a little bit of this gasket cinch, which you typically use on like intake manifold gaskets on old small block Chevys. Basically, it's a bit of a gasket sealer, and the whole purpose is this is going to help hold our gasket to the transfer case. Now the transfer case itself has the dowel pins in it right now. So I'm going to adhere this to the transfer case, which we're going to lift up and attach to the transmission. Now I'm not gluing it per se, but this is a bit of a gasket sealer. This actually still allows you to remove the gasket when it's done. The book doesn't call for running any beads of silicone, so I'm just going to use a little bit of this gasket cinch only to hold it up there. Otherwise I'm going to let the paper gasket do its thing. Now luckily ours was dry when we pulled it out. Both of our seals were working properly, and it doesn't appear that there's any reason for there to be fluid back there. So I think we'll be in good shape. So just a little bit of this gasket cinch on here. It's just got a little kind of ball applicator there. Don't really need to glob it on there because this isn't exactly going to be doing the sealing. I'm just kind of doing this to adhere it to the piece so it's not falling off when we're trying to align everything. Okay, we've got our gasket. Let's go ahead and position it. Just got to find the right orientation, which is always a pain. We'll kind of press it down. And then gasket cinch is holding that on nice. So when we reposition this, we should be in pretty good shape. It's kind of held on with the dowels, but also our gasket cinch, so we don't have to worry about this paper gasket falling off as we're installing everything. Okay, so I've got it on the creeper. I'm going to roll this into the car so we can prepare to get it set up, and hopefully I'll get a camera under there and kind of give you a somewhat decent view. I'm probably going to be in the way as I heave it up there, but we'll give our best shot. All right, so here we go. We've got our transfer case right here. We've got where it's going to go. Made sure our jack is positioned. The biggest problem you're going to have, is lifting it up, which you can use a jack to do, but I'm just going to try to heave it up there. It's about 50-55 pounds. And then you're going to have your fuel line bracket that attaches to through one of the bolts, and that's kind of just got to be pivoted out of the way. But you should be able to go ahead and clock it up on the splines before you do anything. So, well, that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Let's just make sure we figure out how this clocks. So this clocks down a little bit, so you got your two top ones, and that'll kind of help you as you lift it up. Make sure you get it aligned. Be careful of your paper gasket. Okay, and just heave it up. Turn your output. Try to get the splines lined up. Hopefully. There we go. Alright, so we got it on the splines. Now it's just a matter of getting the dowels to line up and pushing it home. Let's move that out of the way. We got to move that fuel line that's in the way. That's going to be holding us up. Whoops. Get my light there. That's no problem. Alright, so we got to kind of get our hands around there. That's the best way to move that fuel line. Yeah, that's causing a problem. Push that sucker out of the way. There we go. Alright, so I was able to reach around and pop that fuel line bracket, so now it's riding on the transfer case itself. So we should be able to clock this into the dowels and get it pushed on. There we go. That's seated on. I can see very clearly. Let's show you. Let me turn this down a little bit. So you can see there, a little hard to reach, but right up in there, that's where our joint is, and you can see the paper gasket in the center there, and you can see that we're all set up and on. So I'll be honest with you, that wasn't too bad at all. So we'll get at least one of our bolts started. We'll do one of the easier ones first. I am going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on these. That's what it had from the factory. Alright, we got some Loctite on this bolt. Let's find one of the easier ones to get in. Probably none of them. Oh yeah, look, our vent line's hanging out here. Don't forget to hook your vent line up. There we go. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and get the rest of our bolts in finger tight. So the lower bolts aren't too bad. You can kind of squeeze in between the cross member with the angle ratchet with the handle that you can angle certainly helps. So we're going to have to figure out how to torque this one. I'm just going to get them basic tight. There's two. I'll probably come at them from the back side and get them taken care of. So okay, this one squeezes up in here. Gonna go by our tag. We should be able to get it started. Yep, there we go. I'm gonna use this extension, and I'll try using our regular non-deep well. See if that gets us on it. You know what? We could probably use the deep well, but that's okay. This is on it. Alright, so we haven't torqued them yet, but we've got 3 of our 7. Of course, we got the 3 easiest ones. Let's do one of the harder ones. Oh, but that fuel line bracket that's going to be a tough one. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you on the camera. Okay, there's that one. 2, and 3. So those are the 3 that we did. And if you see that piece of metal up there attached to that fuel line, that's that fuel line bracket, and one of the bolts goes through that into the transfer case. Let's see what we can do. 4. Let me try to just reach my hand up this way. Yeah, it looks like the bracket fell into place, which is good. So I can just get my hand stuck there. See if I can drop it a bit. That'll help. Oh, that made it worse. Let's see if I were to. Ah, that made it easier. So, alright, so a little bit of raising it with the jack. And I got a little extra room. Okay, we're just reaching up there and. Okay, and it's impossible to see with this camera, but we're on there. So, keep this up here. Onto the bolt. We're on the bolt. Let's see if we can hand spin it in. Make sure we're not cross-threading anything. So don't forget you are threading into aluminum. Okay. ahead and try to torque this one. All right, we got that one torqued. Okay, this one went up and over the transfer case. I've got a couple extensions and the universal on the end of it, or on the bolt, and I can use this to hand tighten it. And then we should have enough room once it's hand tight to go ahead and get our torque wrench on there and torque it. And then the same will go for the other two. So all right. So just to recap, we've torqued that bolt, the three along the bottom, or the three that kind of go up around, the one where our fuel line is, so we only have the two on the top left to do. So here's the extensions I ended up using to get up over, and I think you can kind of see up above the transfer case a bit. So just use two small ones and one medium, and then the universal on the end and a regular socket. But just for getting the bolts in, I dropped the jack a little bit, so there's plenty of room up here. I can completely reach my hand around. As you can see, I can completely reach my hand around to get to those bolts. I don't know if I can get the camera up there to see them or not without blocking the light. I think that's one of them up there, isn't it? So that's one of the top ones, but there's plenty of room. I can reach the top one on this side. The one on the side we just tightened. And then the other one, I came around over top and over, and I was able to put that in, and I'll be able to reach it with a wobble as well, or the universal. So we'll go ahead and do the next one. Okay, so I'm going to just reach over to our first top one there. I should be able to go ahead and hand tighten this one. Okay, we're now tight. Swap to our torque wrench. And these are torquing 30 foot-pounds. Alright, there we go. So now we've only got one left to do. This one I think I'm going to have to use another extension just to bring it out a tiny bit, so we can get our torque wrench on it. Okay, and here we are on the top one. We've got our extensions. Up there we've got our torque wrench. Alright, let's check the other one. Let's make sure. That's it though, we've got all 7 of them on, all 7 of them tight. So we are now all set. Okay. Alright, here's the view up to our transfer case here, up through our cross member, and we've got our mount that we need to reinstall. So I've basically jacked it up all the way. I'm going to try to slide this up in here. Let's see if I can get a light here so you can see a little better. Okay, and then here's our mount, and I was able to swivel them out like this. And then once it was here, I was able to finagle it in and out. So, but just like that, we got it in. And then this is an exhaust hanger. It slides back up there. And we can go ahead and go get the bolts. And then under here is the nuts that go on. So we'll go ahead and get those and get those started. All right, let's go ahead and get these started. The first thing we'll do is go ahead and bolt to the mount to the transfer case. But let's get this side first. And remember, this should all go in finger tight. Got a little Loctite on that as well. On this side, make sure you don't forget the exhaust hanger here, which goes up. So. Alright, so using that access hole, I'm go ahead and mount up a socket. Go ahead and tighten down the nuts. actually the bolts that go into the transfer case. There's one of them. I'll go ahead and torque that. 246 foot-pounds. All right. Let's go ahead and get the other one tightened and then torqued. Now this one, you're probably best coming from the front. You can get a socket on it pretty easily. And that's where we'll be able to mount our torque wrench. I am torquing these down before I put the nuts on. I don't think that'll be a problem. What I'm doing is I let the weight come down so that these would locate where they naturally want to land, and then I'm comfortable torquing these down. I didn't torque them before I did that. That way everything has a chance loose to settle where it needs to settle, and then you can do your final torquing. So nothing should be moving, so that's why I'm comfortable torquing before I even thread those on. Let's get our torque wrench on here. It's a tight fit. I hope we can get it on there. There's no access hole on this side, unfortunately. I mean, we can use a crow's foot if we need to. Here, mount our crow's foot. And that should give us just a little more room. Coming this way, however it wants to mount. Alright, there we go. So using our crow's foot, we were able to sneak up there, get on it, and get that one torqued. Now we can go ahead and get the nuts on. Started. I put a little anti-seize in them. These didn't have any Loctite, it didn't look like, so. And these get torqued quite a bit more. I figured since these are probably rusty bolts, we're putting them on. Get them bottomed out and tight. Alright, looks like 72 pound-feet, which is kind of a lot. Sometimes your mounts like this don't have a lot of torque. Sometimes the bolts go straight into the rubber. You end up tearing the mount before you tighten it. These look like they're in the metal base plate. There's one. There's two. Alright, well, good news. Our transfer case is now mounted, bolted in, torqued down. We got the mount installed. So that's all taken care of, and we're all set to go ahead and reinstall our drive shafts. Now before we get the drive shafts reinstalled on the flanges, we need to go ahead and replace the universal joints.